Hi, I'm Sterry, a family carer who's doing a talk on being a carer and how I deal with it. Here I want to concentrate on a co-production I did, Carer Voice, which I did with two other learning disability family carers, and also Rachel, who's with me today.
Hello. Okay, Chris, so I thought we could just talk about the work that we did going right back to the beginning, and maybe you could just explain the kind of earlier meetings that we had when we started meeting here at the university, and I guess how they felt for you to be part of that process.
Yeah. Although we knew Rachel was recording everything we said, it didn't seem to stem our flow. All three of us were experienced learning disability carers, and we spoke how we saw it. And even though there'd been no collusion between the three of us, in many instances we were talking with the same voice. And our different areas within learning disability. My daughter lives with us, another one lived away from Sheffield, whereas another one lived away from home but within Sheffield. So different aspects of the people. And of course, while they'd all got learning disabilities and more likely autism as well, you can't say that one person with a learning disability and autism is like the next person. Each person's an individual, as we all are. And just because you've got a disability doesn't mean you're into a category and you must be all parts of that category. You're not. Even on a day-to-day aspect, what person you were yesterday, you may not be tomorrow. In fact, during the day, you may be various different aspects of your own personality. And a lot of people just think, just because you've got a disability, it's done like this. So next time it must be done like this, which is exactly the same. But it can't be, because you've got to listen to the person. And if you don't, you do so at your peril.
Yes.
Especially if they've got autism.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And these are kind of topics that we covered, didn't we, in those first few meetings. So as a group, we met once a month for about we had about six meetings where we just explored your experience and those of the other carers. And as you said, there was a lot of overlap, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. And I then took those away and I analysed some of those discussions, and we came back and talked about what the kind of main themes were. Mm-hmm. And this was us moving from looking at our own experiences, or your own experiences, to looking at how we could bring in the experience of others, wasn't it?
We did feel that we could have an isolated viewpoint, even though we were three separate individuals from various different backgrounds. Were we just the unlucky ones? So we needed to look at a larger group. We're not people with a big area that we can contact. I, because of my own activities, do have certain distributions, but it is limited. There are about 3,500 learning disability carers, I think, in Sheffield, and I might cover about 30 of them. So no way can I say that my viewpoint is what every other person's viewpoint is. So we did have to find some area to gain access to other people. And again, we discussed it within the true concept of co-production. And as a group, all four of us came to the conclusion that we needed to do something like do surveys But before that, we had to find out what our particular focus would be.
Yes.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, communication was the tool. It's the be-all and end-all in all and many aspects related to services and caring. Because without communication, A does not know what B is thinking or what require, and C is at a complete loss.
Yes. Yes.
So it's communications, not only between carers, and not only between people who are requiring care, but it's all the variety of services. And at first we had to decide what services we were going to look at. Would we itemise local government services? Would we itemise local health services? And what would we do with the vast array of other providers? And after time we decided that we had 3 areas: local government, health and other providers.
Yes.
And what means will we have? Well, we just didn't have the time and capacity to go even round Sheffield to talk to all and sundry. For one thing, we didn't even know who the all and sundry were because of data protection and GDPR.
Yes.
So we had to find a method, and we decided that we would produce surveys. And we produced surveys, one for service providers and one for carers, learning disability carers. And we used this on Survey Monkey, so it not only covered Sheffield, but it covered all of the UK and possibly beyond.
That's right, because we knew that communication was an issue that came up a lot, didn't it, in the discussions, but obviously we knew that also communication was a very broad term. So what we kind of honed in on was kind of those interactions that happen, don't they, when a service provider and a carer, either by telephone or in a face-to-face meeting or even in emails, when they're trying to interact with each other, and what did those interactions leave people feeling, wasn't it? And we wanted to see, what did it leave the carer feeling? And did the service provider recognise these feelings, or was there a gap between the two, wasn't it? So, yes, we did the surveys and we used our own connections, Googling, looking for various ways of sharing the survey as far and wide as possible, didn't we? And
the internet was very helpful.
The internet was very helpful. Yes, it was very helpful, and we got. And then, do you want to have a chat? Do you want to just explain a bit about what we did then with the results that came in?
Analytical processes again.
Yes.
Which of course is very time consuming. Not only did we have boxes to tick various areas, but we also had open boxes where people could leave comments. And it was the comments that were more interesting. Not saying that the other areas weren't interesting, but these were very interesting. And people were really open with their views, and they weren't very good.
No.
From carers, that is.
Yes, in answer to the
More
question.
good from providers who thought they were doing marvellously.
Yes. Yeah, and in answer to our question, is it just us? No, it wasn't, was it? There were things that were so similar in the surveys to our own discussions that actually we started to question whether you guys had filled in the survey and forgotten all about it.
And it wasn't just Sheffield either.
No.
We had quite a few replies from various parts of the country.
Yes.
And everything seemed to mirror it. And although we were concentrating on adult services, we had some response from children's. And it was surprising that there was not much difference. Children's services are more controlled by legislation, but it doesn't mean that everything's hunky-dory.
No, we were surprised by that, weren't we? We thought that maybe what with children's services having a kind of focus point of school or education, that maybe the carers there would feel more positively, but actually our analysis showed that they didn't. and it didn't really make much difference.
I mean, what our analysis did show was the great discrepancy between how carers viewed their communication with providers and how providers viewed their communication with carers.
Yes. Yes.
I suppose it didn't really come as a surprise,
No, but it it confirmed our suspicions, didn't it? Yes. We had graphs that showed carers rating things very low, didn't we?
Yeah.
Things like returning messages being included, having their knowledge respected. This comes out very low, and then service providers rating very highly that as a service they were doing these things. And there was certainly a gap when we looked at it between how carers felt about these things and what service providers said they were doing. So, yes.
So the next stage was, how would we show up our results? And we decided that we would run a presentation event in Sheffield, which we did. It was attended by 40 people, 20 carers and 20 providers. When we were organising, one of our biggest worries, would anybody turn up? And as it came out, we shouldn't have been worried because we were oversubscribed.
Mm.
So we not only presented our findings, we also incorporated workshops within that, based on a few questions that came out of the surveys. And we asked each of the 6 tables to look at a question and discuss it. And then we took all the stuff in, and what did we do next? I think we analysed it.
More analysing, yes.
To be achieved.
Yes.
And we spent time doing that. And then we had to decide how best we would proceed further. And what we did is, we decided to produce some documents, which can be found on the Carer Voice website.
Yes, that's right. I'm zooming in there. So each of the resources we produced can be downloaded off the website, or we do have printed copies. So, Chris, do you want to give the email address that the Carer Voice email address again, and then if anybody wants the...
Now, within that presentation, well, that's not the presentation, is it?
No.
That's the website.
That's the website, yeah.
So the website there is purely showing the contact email address.
Yeah.
That website is up and running. What I've done is I'm trying to recreate that website so that it will be there while I'm here. And I've also created an email address that people can use, which is carervoice@gmail.com.
Yeah. So if anybody wanted some printed resources, they could email you and we could organise sending those. And the website is currently being held at carervoicesheffield.co.uk, and that's where you can get the downloadable resources. But either way, there's also some contact details on there if anyone wanted the resources.
And when I've managed to create the website myself, then there'll be the original website plus mine. Most likely won't be as colourful, but it should have the resources.
Yes. Yeah. So we were interested, weren't we, that our research project was not just about information, but also that we had some outputs from it, weren't we? I think from the beginning we thought that's something we'd like to do, but we weren't sure what they would be because they were going to come out of the discussions that we were having. So we went in knowing we'd like to do something, but we weren't sure what. So these resources were based on our own discussions, our survey findings, and then what the workshop told us, weren't they? They were things that people said would be useful. Things like training slides, surveys and things that And do you want to just say a bit about what we've done since developing these?
Well, once we produced draft copies of the documents, we contacted Sheffield Council and we had a meeting with commissioners and representatives from adult social care who looked at the documents in draft form that we had produced with interest, made some recommendations which we took on board. We also then met with a selection of service provider agencies in Sheffield, and exactly the same was the conclusion. We then went to the clinical commissioning group, who were very pleased with the results. And I've taken the project on board and are in the process of incorporating it with the For Pete's Sake campaign that they are running. I did a presentation at an assisted technology event in Sheffield just a few months ago, run by the Sheffield CCG. Of course, my presentation had got nothing to do with assisted technology, but I was the last presentation and I was the one delaying lunch. It was a 15-minute presentation. I'm told by CCG that they're getting some good feedback. If anybody wants a copy of that presentation, then they can contact me at carevoice@gmail.com.